The silence in your office is heavier than the noise ever was. It presses against your eardrums. You sit at that desk you bought 3 years ago when you thought momentum would never stop. The chair creaks as you shift your weight, a sound so loud it feels like an intrusion. Your phone sits face down on the polished wood. You know there are emails piling up in the dark. Notices, demands. Questions about severance, about data migration, about what happens to the code you poured your soul into until it turned to ash last week. You want to pick it up. You want to scream at the screen, but you don't move. Because deep down beneath the panic and the financial ruin there's a colder fear. You are afraid that if you let go of this pain you admit that it was all for nothing. You cling to the anger because anger feels like ownership. It feels like you still have a stake in the wreckage. But this is a trap. This clinging is not loyalty, it is exhaustion disguised as principle. You believe gratitude means pretending everything is fine. You think it means smiling while your bank account drains and your identity fractures. That is not gratitude, that is delusion, and Stoicism has never been about delusion. Epictetus was a slave. He walked with a lame leg through the streets of Rome, owned by men who could break him at any moment. Did he pretend his chains were comfortable? No. He did not thank the master for the whip. He thanked himself for the mind that remained free despite the whip. You are confusing gratitude with submission. You are confused because you think you have lost everything, but you have only lost what was never yours to keep in the first place. Let us look at the wreckage differently, not as a failure but as data. Seneca wrote letters from exile not to complain about his isolation but to clarify his thinking. He understood that adversity is the whetstone of character. You are standing in the fire, that is undeniable. The heat is real, the loss is real. Do not numb yourself with false positivity. Feel the burn, but do not confuse the pain with your worth. Your company died, it was a vehicle. Vehicles break down, drivers survive. There is a profound difference between being attached to an outcome and being responsible for your actions. You acted, you built, you tried. The result came from forces outside your control: market shifts, timing, luck, the chaotic swirl of global economics. That part is not yours, but how you stand in this room right now, that is entirely yours. Amor fati means loving fate, yes, but it also means accepting reality without distortion. You cannot unring the bell, the company is gone. Fighting that fact is like trying to hold back the tide with your bare hands. It will only exhaust you. There is a texture to this moment I need you to notice. The coldness of the mouse under your palm. The stale air in the room. These are neutral facts. They do not judge you, they simply exist. Your mind is adding the judgment. This is the end. This is failure. This is unbearable. Strip away the commentary. What remains? A man or woman sitting at a desk, breathing, alive, with skills intact and lessons burned into their memory by fire. That is the raw material, and it is enough. You are not your valuation. You are not your user count. You are not your last round of funding. Those were external possessions. They came and they went. Your capacity to endure, to build again, to think clearly in the face of ruin. That is internal. That is yours. No one can audit that. No investor can liquidate it. This is the inner citadel. It is not a place you go when things are easy. It is the structure you build when everything else collapses. You feel naked because your external armor has shattered. Good. Now you see what is actually holding you up. Nothing but you, and that should be terrifying, yes, but it is also liberating, because now you're free from the performance of success. You do not have to pretend anymore. You can stop feeding the beast of ambition that demanded constant growth at the cost of your peace. The death of the company is a brutal mercy. It has stripped away the distractions. It has left you with the one thing that actually matters: your character. Do not rush to fill this void. Do not scramble for the next hustle to prove you are still relevant. Sit in the silence, let it settle. There is a dignity in stillness that the world rarely respects but the universe demands. You are being asked to grieve, not just for the business but for the version of yourself that believed success was a permanent state. That version had to die so you could grow into something harder, sharper, more real. This pain is not punishment, it is purification. Marcus Aurelius wrote by candlelight in military tents, surrounded by war and plague, reminding himself that obstacles are the way. He did not see his troubles as deviations from a happy path. He saw them as the path. Your failure is not a deviation, it is the curriculum. You are learning resilience in its purest form, not the theoretical kind you read about in books but the visceral, bone-deep kind that comes from having nothing left to lose. This is where true strength is forged. Not in the boardroom applause but in this empty room. In this quiet moment where you choose not to break. You will rebuild or you won't, that does not matter yet. What matters is that you stop fighting the reality of what happened. Stop trying to bargain with fate. The deal is done, the contract is void. You are free not from responsibility but from illusion. There is a terrible beauty in this freedom. It is cold, it is sharp, but it is honest. And honesty is the only ground on which you can build anything that lasts. Breathe in, feel the air fill your lungs. It costs nothing. No one asked for payment. You are here, the body works, the mind thinks. The world continues outside those windows, indifferent to your stock price but full of life nonetheless. Do not let the darkness of this room blind you to that fact. Gratitude is not a feeling you force when things are bad. It is a practice of attention in all conditions. It is looking at the ruins and saying, I am still here, I can handle this. The silence around you is not empty. It is waiting for you to stop screaming so you can hear yourself think again. The noise is gone. Finally, there is only what is real, and that is enough.